I always use this pathetic example that's such a Canadian example. I used to love the Quebec Nordiques. I love the Habs. I grew up in Montreal, but
this is a great example. I know
these Quebec Montreal games were amazing. Watching these Stastny brothers, you never seen three brothers on the line before, and Goulet and these guys. They're super French mustaches, and it was such a amazing Quebecois experience to watch Montreal versus Quebec. And then when Quebec was gonna leave, when the Nordiques were gonna leave, we were all like, no, this can't happen. This can't happen. Anyway, that night, there was a quote-unquote protest, save the Nordiques. 5,000 people showed up to the Colisée. And I was like, well, fuck, if you guys don't even want to save your own team, what am I crying about over here?
Yeah.
What are we doing? 5,000 people? You didn't even give a shit. All right, go, be gone. And then they won a cup in Colorado. But
The Todd Shapiro Show, SiriusXM 168.
I'm one of my favorite guys in the world. At Stand Up Ali, needs no introduction. He's been on the show many times. He's doing the great stuff for Laugh Out Loud on a huge podcast and a show on CBC. Ali Hassan, Stand Up Ali. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, all right. Can I clap for myself as well?
Dude, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Here with Adam Groh and a comedian, young comedian and a writer, Mark Edwards. Dude, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah?
I mean, my eyes are burning from onions. I sat in an Argentinian restaurant for 3 hours. I talked about Trump with a friend of mine for a while. And his whole...
Still friends?
We are still friends. He's so hell-bent on proving... On hammering home the point that... But Hillary was so terrible. I'm like, yeah, but...
This is me.
But then that ship has now sailed. That's no longer a concern for us. I do agree that your choices were piss poor. It was between the worst of American culture and the worst of American governance. That's the way I feel as well. Hillary was not a great choice. My heart was still with Bernie Sanders. But just like once Bernie was out, it didn't serve any purpose to talk about Bernie anymore. Also, I'm Canadian, and nothing ever serves a purpose anyway. But I just mean these arguments are kind of moot.
No purpose.
Right? No, there's no purpose to anything we're talking about. But with Trump, there is a little bit. And my buddy, Sam, he goes, dude, you're so pessimistic. I'm like, what do you... Because I'm talking about who he's surrounding himself with. And
Like Steve Bannon and...
Yeah, Bannon and even Pence right from the beginning, who's anti-LGBT. And Newt Gingrich is wrong. Newt Gingrich is a guy who would have... He said that he would have Muslims, even who were American, be sort of deported to where you're born. I mean, it's bananas. And my buddy's like, you're a bit pessimistic, though. You never know. Like, he's already repealing a lot of the stuff he said.
He's already said fence instead of wall.
Right. That's just a budget issue in my mind. What are the numbers on that fence? A lot better than...
Someone joked that he couldn't get enough Mexicans to build them, but it was just it was a bad joke. I'm not saying that joke. It's
but that's the prevailing joke. But that's the joke from years that, you're going to build a wall. Who do you think is going to build that for you?
I wanted you to come in for a reason because we've had such deep talks about this stuff before, and I found myself saying and writing things on Facebook, which I've always sworn I wouldn't do, which I think make me seem like I lean very right.
Yeah,
and I kind of wanted you to be my gauge because I respect you. I respect the hell out of you. I really do, and that's part of it. Ali, I'm a very optimistic person, and I really try. I'm like my mother a lot of the time. I try and find the good in everybody.
Yeah.
I look at people and I try and see that I don't care what they're doing or saying. I know that there's something there that they won't act on and they're going to do better. I really believe that as human beings evolve and stuff. So the whole thing that I kind of went on was that I think Trump, and I do think this, and I wanted to be honest with you. I think Trump played a fucking game. Like, I think Trump played a wrestling heel. I've said it many times on the show. Right. And he knew what it was going to take to rile up
as a guy who's been in the wrestling ring, it wasn't difficult for him to
do. And he knew what he was doing. And I think he didn't necessarily know right away, but he's like, you know what? This is working. And he just kept going with it. And I think he got supremely confident that it would get him there. And because there was a whole other side, this the Breitbart supporters, the Rebel.TV supporters. Sure. And we had all those people in, and I saw that side too. And I realized, you know what? I don't know what's right or wrong anymore. I just know that people are fucking angry and want to change. And once Bernie was gone with that, I predicted that change would happen. I had a feeling. I didn't want it to seem like I'm leaning right, though.
Yeah.
I'm leaning realistic.
Todd. Yeah. Todd, this is your old pal Stephen Hawking. If you want to know what it's like to lean to the right, look at me. At least you have a choice, Todd. At least you have a choice.
So much for keeping a straight face.
That's great.
Awesome. we did a good accent. I told him to stay here and chime in any time. But I mean,
there's no shame in leaning right. There's no shame in leaning right. Right now, what we have is Republicans who are like, we don't even want to be associated with Donald Trump. You know, we're seeing a lot
until
of this.
He won.
What's that?
Until he won.
Until he won. All right,
Paul
okay,
Ryan.
maybe,
You're my best friend, bro.
Course, no, Paul Ryan was as hypocritical as they come. I mean, look, I have people saying, like, you know, I'm people on my Facebook feed saying that I'm offended that I am being associated with, I'm being called either a misogynist or a racist or any other number of things just because I voted for Trump. And I'm just like, now you're offended? Now you're offended. After all the variety of different reasons you could have been offended, now you're offended. I mean, fuck what offends you. It doesn't matter anymore. There was a time to be offended and you weren't. So, and I read this one thing that think about intent versus impact. Your intent is not to be a person who's racist or misogynistic or whatever other number of things you want to call this guy, or a sexist. But your impact by voting for him and supporting him and impact is always greater than intent. And so, and I know I'm not bringing any comedy to this per se.
I didn't want comedy today.
No, you didn't want comedy today.
No,
well,
I wanted
good.
this honest talk. And you know, part of it is, you know, couldn't he have just been doing these promises? And this isn't new to Todd Shapiro Show listeners, to break them like other politicians do good promises. You know, and which are broken all the time. And shouldn't we be up in arms about those broken promises? And you know, I was really, really impressed by Oprah and by Dave Chappelle, who said, you know, we kind of got to just give this guy a chance now.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. You know, I absolutely agree with that. Not because it's Dave Chappelle, who I you know, basically idolize, but just because we have no other choice. So what do we...
You're a realist like me.
You know, you're fighting or you're like saying, let's see. And there's a group called Muslims for Trump. And it was funny that Anna Maria Tremonti is this woman on CBC Radio. She interviewed this, or, you know, supporter of this organization, Muslims for Trump. And at that point, he had already said, right out of the gate, he said, you know, there's deportation of Muslims, or at least we don't want to bring them in until we figure out what's going on. And so Anna Marie Tremonti, this Italian Christian woman, is asking a Muslim woman, don't you feel some sort of, I don't know, animosity or reluctance to be a Trump supporter because of the things he said? And that woman said, I don't believe that he really believes what he's saying. I believe he's being influenced, and now's the time that as Muslims we can influence him. I was like, well, that's a fucking hell of a leap, you know? Like, it's great to feel that, but how do we know that? We need to know. We really need to know. And if you don't know, words do matter. And you're saying words. Look, if Trump doesn't believe what he said, and in the end, you know, he doesn't go and do half the stuff he said, that's great. However, there are so many people who are impacted by his words. So I went through this in Quebec. Pauline Marois was talking a hell of a game, like you could say borderline racist or full-on racist. But there was this repeal of there was the niqab was going to be banned, and along with it, the hijab, and along with it, the Jewish kippah, and the Sikh turban. In any, you know, sort of government-run thing, office, workplace. Not workplace, sorry. It was going to go to the workplace, but it was going to be any government office, right? And what started happening, this didn't even come into law. What started happening was, like an old man in a city bus starts mouthing off to some woman in a hijab. You know, retourne à ton pays, go back to where you came from, why are you here? And that woman, Tunisian woman, had a 10 times better French. Her quality of French was 100. Her education was better than the guy. So when she told him off, somebody was filming it. It sounded so much more beautiful than this, like, Quebec villager. And there were many cases, you know, and that was just one law. But it was people who felt emboldened, and
That's
brazen, and they had the
what
support.
people are scared of. It's not Trump.
That's
it's
what
all the people
bothers
he's
me.
galvanized.
That is exactly what bothers me.
You know,
when I go to New York City,
people
I
would have been
shouldn't
there
worry
anyway,
about-
though, right?
Well, they
would
always have been.
But you give them some power. You give their, hey, our man is supporting us. I saw this happen in Quebec.
So is that what now, maybe his number one responsibility is to sort of like, hey, masses that are asses.
How do you do it? How do you do it? Guys, I know I never said anything to you before, and I know I even egged you on during rallies. I even said stuff that fueled
Get
the
him
fire.
out of here.
Get him out of here.
that
Yeah,
kind of
I'll
stuff.
cover the lawyer's fees if you beat him up or something like that, right? I can't.
punch him in the
Mob,
face.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll take care of your lawyer's fees. Hey, I was joking. Were you? I mean, words have an impact, especially when you are somebody who is dismayed and just distraught and just looking to hear something that gives you some guidance.
Do you have Muslim friends who live in the United States?
I have plenty. I have family, I have friends, for
Are
sure.
they fearful?
I think a lot of them are really concerned. Look, man, on the streets of Toronto the other day, this group of guys beat the shit out of this bachelor party, and this 24-year-old kid
Was that
from
race
Maryland
related?
died. It wasn't. This is what I'm saying. It wasn't.
Streets of Toronto, though.
Sometimes
Streets of
that's
Toronto,
the
yeah.
streets of Toronto.
Right around the
That's,
corner from
that's
my
not
house.
even politically motivated.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our city, that's our country that we feel is a little bit more peaceful.
Well,
There's no arms.
and there are Clinton supporters holding up signs saying "rape millennia," like it's crazy, right? Like there's people are fucked up in general.
Yeah, there's a video that everybody keeps, every Republican or every sort of neutral person keeps saying, what about those black guys who beat the crap out of an old white man? Absolutely despicable. Absolutely despicable. Nobody's supporting violence against either candidate.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is that there's a lot of people who are dismayed and a lot of people who are so desperate for change.
But the reality is, first of all, 50 million people didn't even vote still in this heated election.
And that's
then
'cause
when
they
you
were
look
the
at
worst.
They wrote on Facebook, though.
yeah, they.
They did their part.
I thought this was voting.
They
This
changed
is
their
voting. This is how you
They
swipe
changed
right
their
and
page to duck lips, and that made a
That's right.
difference. Yeah.
But then, of the millions that voted for Trump, you know that obviously not all of the Trump supporters are these extremists. It's a smaller population within America that is this angry, hateful.
Yeah.
I mean, some people want to change, but they aren't like racist and misogynist. A lot of people that voted for Trump are not. So the point, I think, is not necessarily to be optimistic and just say this is we just have to have hope. This is the situation we're in. So now, if you are opposed to those ideas, like what happened in Quebec, you have got to take it upon yourself to speak up.
So is protesting the right thing to do?
This is the starting place. That's how it starts.
Because I don't agree with the protesting. Is that bad? And I don't know what that makes me. I think it just makes me lazy because I would never do
maybe.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Calm down. I mean, look, my wife points this out to me, too. She goes, if Republicans were protesting Hillary right now, how badly would they have been demonized?
Sure. And that's part of the problem.
I can't disagree, but also I can't.
Would they have been
I can't
worse?
have a problem. I don't know.
It's
I can't
hypothetical.
I can't.
Yeah,
you think it would
I
have
think
turned
they would.
violent?
I think so.
You got so Jewish there.
What? I'll get Jewish too. I go, violence. What do I know about violence? I've been a peaceful man my whole life.
I understand maybe protesting 6 months after him being the president.
Sure.
But I don't think you can protest the results. That's the results. That's the rules. That's America. You know that.
Okay, so you
I'm not
still
saying it's-
understand protesting. You
Yes,
would
but
be
wait till he
sympathetic.
does something wrong. You know what I mean? You had the opportunity. He did things wrong to get the.
This is it.
I agree that he did things wrong to get the votes.
Yeah.
But your way of protesting was getting 50 more million people out to vote and saying no if it was so asinine. So you can't, in my opinion, go and protest the result. That's just my opinion.
I know. I always use I can see that too. I always use this pathetic example. That's such a Canadian example. I used to love the Quebec Nordiques. I loved the Habs. I grew up in Montreal, but
This is a great example. I know what you're
these Quebec Montreal games were amazing. Watching these Stastny brothers. You never seen three brothers on the line before, and Goulet and these guys. They're super French mustaches, and it was such a amazing Quebecois experience to watch Montreal versus Quebec. And then when Quebec was gonna leave, when the Nordiques were gonna leave, we were all like, no, this can't happen. This can't happen. Anyway. That night, there was a quote-unquote protest, save the Nordiques. 5,000 people showed up to the Colisée. And I was like, well, fuck, if you guys don't even want to save your own team, what am I crying about over here?
Yeah.
What are we doing? 5,000 people? You didn't even give a shit. All right, go, be gone. And then they won a cup in Colorado. But
The Todd Shapiro Show.
All right, we really appreciate you watching that video. Make sure you check out some more videos. Why not? Let's get caught in the Shapiro Show vortex right here. Or you can subscribe to the channel right here and check out videos at any point because we're going to give you all the alerts. We do appreciate you being a part of our family. Most families hate each other, not ours. We love you.